Hi everyone, Messi back again with another live dev interview, this time with Kris Development, the creator of IKPlus and the Easy Roads Mesh Gen. He's also an amazing 3D artist and he's got loads of fantastic weapons and models on the Unity Asset Store. Pop over and check them out, the links in the description down below. This was taken from my live anniversary stream on allthews.twitch.tv/themessycoder, where I had over $11,000 worth of assets and games to give away. It was crazy madness, and if you want to experience some of that madness, just sit back and enjoy this video.
Hello!
Hello!
I'm so glad to be finally on the stream.
Yeah,
it's been a blast so far. Hello, everybody.
We're running a little bit behind schedule. I'd like to apologise for that, buddy.
Kris no problem.
Creators of IKPlus, the computer game that I used to have on the Spectrum and on the Amiga.
That is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
How can not every person in the universe know and love this game?
I have actually played that.
You played it?
Yep. I was a little kid back then, but I didn't know what it was called, but it was on my father's PC and I used to play it a lot.
So it must have been in the back of your mind as a little nugget. So give us a little background about yourself while we destroy your assets.
Well, I'm 21 years old, and you figure out that I live in Bulgaria, and I've been doing Unity as a drug every day since I was probably 12. I started out by just pure curiosity of what Unity was and game development in general. And you can imagine a 12-year-old going around with Unity and figuring out tools by himself. So as time went on, I started to get a grasp on things. I started learning a little bit about programming in C# and all that good stuff. And well, that led to another thing, and that thing led to another thing, so story goes on, and here I am, doing assets for the Unity Asset Store. I do believe I have one, that's worth mentioning, that I do have a first place in one of the game development competitions that I've been here in my country. If that counts for anything. Yeah, thank you.
What was that? What was that?
What was
the competition? Was it
it was you were tasked of making a software product that could be used for education. So I went out and made an education game. But it's not one of the things that I could put in my portfolio. Of course, I was just a student back then. But it was something that put me on the scoreboard, you could say.
Well, that's impressive, dude. It makes me feel really old. So. Oh. This is something you're looking for a career at a game studio, or you're looking to just be an indie guy and do indie stuff?
I haven't signed NDA yet, so f it. I've been.
We're on a family friendly. We're not allowed to swear.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
I took off the mature warning thing. Should I put it back on?
No, of course. I just didn't catch that.
You can swear in Bulgarian.
No, that wouldn't work. Well, so, about the studio, right? Recently, I got hired by Snapshot Games, the original creators of XCOM. Went out to create something called Phoenix Point, and they had a position open for tools developer for Unity, and I was like, that's exactly my thing. And they were really happy to welcome me on board. So I'm starting a job as the thing I love, basically, now here in Bulgaria, in a fresh new studio.
Congratulations, buddy. So let me pop into Unity. Tell me what to do.
So the first thing you'd probably want to do is open up the example so we can have something to show to the people.
All right. This one here, example
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
No errors. Good so far.
No errors. Yeah, like the errors that came in the previous Unity version, they are from something that I tried to experiment with. It's an open source library that I published for other publishers to use. So I do implement that into this too, and that might be breaking some stuff with the new Unity releases. So I have to work on that. And you could probably, I'd be very happy if you do, send me the console log after the stream.
Cool. Well, I would need to replicate what I did, but
Well,
I
you
deleted
just
more folders.
you simply import the two, and I the quality developer that I am, I do believe it's gonna work from the first time.
All right, so I've got a menu at the top that, hang on, let me make so people can see. Kris Development, and I've got an IKPlus menu and internal tools menu. Blend machine editor, module assistant, and in internal tools we've got component assistant.
All right, so the internal tools that you're looking at right now, they come stock with the package that is available on GitHub, the shared editor tools utilities, and I've let it on here just to help with porting the tool from one version to another, but it's not really relevant to the IK. So what you're interested in is clicking on the test man in the hierarchy and seeing up the interface of the IKP. Now this is the thing that you're gonna be looking at for the most part of working with the IK. So this is well, it's what it is. It's a panel controlling all the modules. Now, the first and major thing that I'm very proud of is if you click on add or edit modules on that button right over there, add modules.
Where's that?
Your mouse was just over.
There you go.
Yes,
this blue purpley thing.
of course, yes. And you can look at the linker assistant.
This thing here, cool.
Yes. Now, the very thing that I'm very proud about the IKP is that it's completely modular, which means you can swap out in and out modules and the tool will work and nothing is hard coded into the system. So this is the panel that you want to work with while you're importing and configuring modules. So the module assistant has two jobs, primary jobs. Is the first one is when you have something selected in the scene, you add and add modules or remove modules, so toggle modules. And then there's the linker assistant. That is useful for when you're coding, like for when you want to hook up the IK to some other part of your code base. And the linker assistant allows you to look up signatures and types and update orders and all that. So it's a utility that I implemented with the modular approach.
We got a question in chat, which
yeah, of course.
What is the difference between IK, final IK, and your IKPlus? So it's a hard question to answer.
Yes. Well, I've personally never used final IK. I had to. So here's the story of the tool basically. I was working on an RPG back in 2014, I believe, which was a while back. And the need for an IK system popped up. So I had a character that I needed to make able to climb surfaces and interact with the world environment. And I thought, okay, so I was broke and I couldn't buy final IK. I was on a very strict budget. We had like very little funds to go about making that RPG. And I thought, okay, I'm going to create an IK system for us. And I started working on it. And well, for the past 3 to 4 years, probably more, I've been developing this thing and molded it into the shape that it is today. But I do get to tell you that there's been like many iterations of the tool, like way too many to admit. So the necessity really led to creating that tool, and I really couldn't tell you what the similarities between the two IK systems are and what the differences are. I've seen IK, like final IK's interface, and I think it's really all over the place. So that's one thing that I really wanted to make right, is the user interface to be explicit and the user to really have an idea of what's going on the screen at all times. So you have all these organization buttons like collapsing menus, and you have all these labels and all this custom GUI that is really meant to guide the user to better understand the tool. Whereas I've seen only screenshots of Final IK where I don't want to pick on the guys that made that tool. I think it's a great IK system, don't get me wrong, but I think their interface is kind of all over the place.
I don't know how I'm looking at this and I'm looking at it and going, how have you even done this?
You
like,
wanna your mind blown away?
Yeah.
Click on Edit Blend Machine on the IKP Blender. Now this has nothing that is stock with Unity in it. Like all of that interface, you can drag around, add nodes and stuff. You go to the other modules, yeah. You can like make very convoluted systems with this thing that I made. Like I've made a framework for node editing just for this tool.
Bloody hell.
Yep. So GUI aside, there's another devil, which if you've ever worked with custom editors, that's a real pain, is serialization. Unity's serialization, which is like you have all those variables in the editor that you're manipulating through interfaces. But the thing is, Unity does not serialize them. It does not get pushed to the JSON file, basically. So you do have to make your way around Unity's very buggy, very messy serialization system, which is the real challenge of making a tool like that.
Got people got chat. I have tried that. I woke up in the bathtub, packed in ice with a kidney removed.
Oh man, I love your community so far.
So, this is your little bloke, and he's got this script attached to him. It does. I mean, how
you can, by the way,
daunting. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yes, of course.
So how do you? Where do you go to learn how to use all this stuff?
I've included a documentation which is about 25 to 30 pages long.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
This one here in the instructions.
One or the other, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it teaches you step by step how to set up the tool, how to work with the variables, how to like if you have a custom script that you want to hook up, how to use that. Like how to use the API of the tool and all that stuff. It really goes step by step. Well, I think it does.
Nice.
There's been like I've been giving away keys to people to try out the tool, so like I can get better user feedback, and errors like yours, for instance, like with the set util does not happen. But well, there's been like.
Oh, we've got a question here from Yolan, which I've actually had a few different people asking me questions like this.
Does it work well with just hands?
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of the things that I've been wanting to do, like from the start with this tool, to be completely modular. So if you go ahead in the test man and go to the add edit modules.
This one here?
No, like this one here, like add remove modules.
Yep.
On the other panel, yep. And to disable all of them modules except the upper body.
So what?
Everything.
Click on this X?
Yeah, you could click on this X.
Okay, I'm scared.
Yeah, something's gonna break. Okay, nothing broke. Yep. So you can click on those.
Even this one, the editor simulation module.
Yeah, you can remove that. So all of those modules are now gone away from the game object. They do not exist, basically. So it's only the upper body module that's gonna work now.
Oh wow! And if I click on it, I'm disabling it, but I haven't removed it. So I could just like quickly just disable it to do some tests.
Yes.
I should have done that. So
you can even like you can control Z. The tool supports control Z.
Oh my! Oh whoa whoa! It's actually one of the few things that. Oh look! Managed to get this come up.
We managed to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Now that is awesome.
Let me send you that.
Yeah.
That's a gift. Well, my chat knows, like the regulars in chat will know that I went and studied for the quality assurance test stuff.
Yes.
So I do actually know how to write proper test cases and how to write proper bug results. But I don't. I just go, oh, I found a bug in your stuff. Here you go. And the guy said, how can you replicate the steps? I don't remember. Leave me alone.
Yes. By the way, you can go into the gizmos and select 3D gizmos because those custom GUIs look horrendous on the scene. Yeah. 3D icons over there. Yes. There we go. Much better. Now, where were we? Yes, the bugs. Just clear those out. Like, people don't need to see those.
Look, that's see when I'm.
Oh, okay.
It was the Control Z.
Yeah.
Control Z broke everything. Should I reload the scene?
No. I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna reload the scene.
If you want to, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna reload the scene because I don't like breaking things by my. But here you go. Okay, how to replicate the error. Remove the modules by clicking the eggs, and then the X even.
The eggs.
And then do Control Z to bring them back while you're clicking these buttons, and then you see.
Well, that's quite ironic because I was just talking about the serialization of Unity, and that's a serialization bug. You can even see in the console serialized object, target, something like that. Yep. So serialization with Unity in a nutshell. There you go, guys.
We actually did that on purpose to show you the bugs in which we were speaking about. So there you go.
Everything's planned.
It was all planned beforehand.
Don't worry. If you download it too, nothing's bad's gonna happen.
See, look, now I'm clicking it. It's fine. There are no errors.
Yeah.
See, exactly. We planned this. Couldn't be more well planned if we had tried. Now we've got. Let me just quickly read into chat because I do miss chat. If you do have any questions, we do have a channel on the Discord. It's called Live Dev Questions. Currently, the last post in there was from the developer of Mad Maps, Caltrix, Sean, and he wrote hello. So if you see that, you know you're in the right place. Exclamation mark Discord in chat for a link to our Discord is just above. Thank you, San Yo. Right, we've got
join the amazing Discord.
Yeah, join the amazing Discord today. Lex Wayne says sold. So you pretty much sold Lex Wayne with the modularity of it.
All right.
You've got a lot of people out there who are doing, especially like VR stuff, and all you've got is hands with finger bones, and nobody seems to be able to find any decent IK for VR.
Well, I do know that Final IQ works well with it, but that's me just going against myself here. But one of the things that my IK system has worked with, like I've been working in a VR studio this summer, like as an internship job. And I tested out the system there. Like it works semi all right, you know, like as far as an alpha could work well with a VR. So there's that. You can have like if you run the tool, by the way, like push it on play, enable the modules and give it a go.
And what do I? I've got
Enable the modules, yes.
just put all of them back on, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So we can play around with it. One of the things that I like about my IK system, like, is the ability to only position targets that you need. So if you have, for say, something that is controlled by animation, and you want that thing to be affected only by the animation, not the tool, you have inside each module properties for weight. So you can have like only the right arm, only the left arm, you have only the head, the torso, whatever. Like you can completely customize how your IK behaves, even in runtime. So go ahead, mess with some settings, see what breaks.
What should I do? Tell me what I should mess with.
First off, like all of those orange circles that you see,
these ones
are targets. Yes, this is for the left arm target, but currently it's holding a gun, so it won't be affected.
Okay.
Now, if you move this one that you just selected, that's on the gun prefab. So that is positioning like the hand on the gun. You can rotate it, of course. You can do all kinds of stuff with it.
We got a question. Have you tried your system on animals?
On animals, no, but I did try it out on what do you call it? Like an octopus with a human head. It's like it kind of works. No, don't ask. It kind of works, like except for the legs, of course, because there's like a bipedal system. Now, if you go into the project, you could see the project panel. You could see like a bipedal in modules, in the modules folder. You could see a biped base. Like this is all the modules packed for working with the biped system. So one of the things that I want to do for the next release, which is going to be like probably next month, early next month, something like that, is to have a completely generic limb system, you know, so you can have that octopus have all 8 legs work with it. But all of those things can be and will be separate modules, you know? So if you like the old IK, you can use the old IK. If you like the generic limbs, you can use the generic limbs. That's something I really want to do with this tool. And the biggest struggle and probably like the biggest, how do you say it, brick wall that I tore down recently was exactly that, having it be modular and organized.
I've got a question here from Blurry Code. Could there be multiple instances of the module asset, one for just hands module enabled and one with all the modules enabled? For example, does it make a huge difference on the performance-wise to disable modules?
It does make a difference to disable modules, strictly because if it is disabled, its late update functions do not get executed. And if you open up some of the source code, you're gonna see like huge blocks of code running calculations on each module. So having some modules that you don't use disabled does have an impact because they are separate components that get called. So there's an optimization that I've been planning on, like all of this stuff, that really cool stuff that we're gonna talk, like some of them are implemented, but some of them are yet to be implemented. And one of those is the rendering optimization. So if you don't look at the tool, like at the IK, it doesn't get calculated, you know, or runs us or on a simplified model of the calculations. And all of that needs to be like, it's really easy to implement. It is really easy to create as a functionality, but it requires some time, you know. So That's one of the things I want people to try out the tool, give me back some error logs, say this doesn't work, this works, and that would allow me really quickly to iterate through the versions and have it working stable in a very short amount of time. There was this guy that I sent, like, actually I didn't send him a tool, like he bought it. One of my customers like bought the asset, and the next day he was like, hey, can you implement gun collisions? And I was like, sure, why not? I could implement gun collisions. And the next day I got back to him with a working gun collision package. And he was like, yeah, cool, that's cool. You should add that to your functionality. So right now, if you get like one of those huge blocks and put it in front of the gun, it should probably collide.
Oh,
Let's see.
let's try. There you
Yep,
go.
it does. I actually am surprised that it works on the first try.
I mean, I'm mucking about moving stuff around. What do you tell me? What all these knobbins are for? I mean, what's this one supposed to do?
That is on the weapon axe, right? So those little knobs, like they are IKP targets. So you can have a transform that you have your hands to go to, right? But then you can have like an IKP target, and if you have like an IKP target, one, like just mark one of them, select one of them. Yep. You see, like you can edit the rotational preferences of them. So you can have like one target that you want rotated in a specific way. Say if you have a mesh, you know, but that mesh you cannot rotate. So you need to correct the hand rotation. And that IKP target allows you to do that. Another cool thing that I added with the last update, well, I think it's cool, people will say, but if you go to the test man, yeah, to the IKP instance, yes, and you go to the, scroll down a bit. Okay, so you see where it says hand pose correction?
Yes. Here it
Yes.
is.
If we exit out of play mode, you can correct hands, yes. Click on it.
Should I click it?
Yes. Now you go to the scene, and you can now edit the fine tune, say, of each hand. So you can have like edit forward offset. You see, like, no. If you go back, yeah, over there. You're currently editing the left hand. So while the tool is selected, in the, yep, there we go. You click on F offset, edit offset, in the scene. Yes, over there. Okay, so it's like colliding with the gizmo. Never mind. Like, I don't know. Click a little
There
bit.
you go. Got it.
There we go. Now, this thing allows you to correct the fine tuning of the hand, so you can drag it around, you know. This is one of the things that's going to be really helpful for VR applications, where you have your controller, but you cannot really say where the controller should be, you know. That would allow you to correct any hand rotational differences with the controllers.
I think I broke it.
You broke it? No, you didn't. You can go into the test man, edit a simulation module. Scroll down. Yes.
There you go.
Nope. Save pause. That is bad. That is indeed bad. Scroll down just a little more. Just a little more.
We've got a question here
go
about
to
the.
edit a simulation. Yes.
Can you set bone rotation limits? And then Digital Zomba saying, I just saw the angle limit field.
Yes, you can set bone rotation limits on some bones, like for instance on the neck and on the upper torso, but for the most part, like the hands do not really need most of the time. I'm saying most of the time. calls, like a correction, like a limit to them. But if you down there to the edit the simulation model, it should be the last one in the, yep, there we go. Try to roll back the polls. No, it's just, yeah. If you click on start simulation, should it run? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is weird. I think we broke it in multiple levels today. People would be now like, okay, get out of here with this. Trying to sell me this? No way.
I was just randomly clicking buttons, and
yeah. That is one of the things that I hate about Unity's Unity serialization, because all of those are because of that. You roll back the polls like with the Control Z, and you have that problem that we had just now. So there's a lot of things that need to be polished before it is officially out of alpha. So every day I try out to help as much people as I can with their issues. Like I open up my email, and if there's anybody complaining about it, like I forget about everything else and start working on that issue. So that's one of the things that has really helped me a lot to improve my previous tools. For instance, the Easy Roads tool that I have on the asset store. Like in the beginning, it was a buggy mess, and people have gotten back to me with feedback and said, okay, this and this appears out of nowhere. How can I fix it? And I'm like, I've even gotten into Skype calls, live, not interviewing, but live fixing issues with their code. So just so like I can figure out what is wrong with the latest release and what can be improved.
For those guys who don't know, let me make a hang on. Let me go over to the asset store. 1 second. Bear with me. Here we go. So those who don't actually know what else you do, you're a talented artist.
I'd like to think of myself like that, but I don't know if I am.
Well, your stuff's pretty damn good.
Well, thank you. Coming from an experienced developer, that means quite a lot, actually.
Coming from a experienced breaker of things.
Mind you, that's what helps people develop their tools.
There you go. We do always say that people, if you are indie developer, you're doing a little project by yourself, you do need to have QA. You need to have another set of eyes, and you do need to self-test your stuff first. But a QA engineer is not self-testing, and a QA engineer is not a sanity test. You need to have proper QA with your stuff, friends and family.
Yes, that is exactly right.
So you mentioned Easy Road for like you touched on it in one word, but explain to us, what is your Easy Road mesh generation tool?
Well, it's one of my less buggy tools. To start off with that, but it is supposed to generate road meshes for you. It's one of the tools that I developed back in the days, in my very, very early days of asset store tool development. I believe it was my first actually tool that got on the asset store, that I did for a project of a horror game, I think. So I needed roads for that game and something to make rivers with as well. So I needed a very, very versatile tool. And I started messing around. I knew a bit of mesh modifications and working with vertices. And I said to myself, okay, I can try out that. You know, like that's something I could possibly eventually develop and get it working. So it took me a couple of weeks going around in circles and trying out different things, but finally I got it. And it kind of I kind of run with the idea for a very long time. I started out with just a simple, very basic point clicking. Like you had to duplicate points manually, and you had to assign them in an array. It was very primitive back in the day, but it got the job done. So more and more people started using it and started suggesting things that I add. So in the end, now I have something that's quite decent, I might say. Like a lot of people use it and are happy with it. So I'm kind of proud of it, in the end.
I hate you so much. Look at this editor that you've made. Oh man. I need to go back to the drawing board and redo mine completely. I'll grab you next week and I'll be like, Kris, look at my shitty muck. Have you got 2 hours to help me rewrite everything? I'm going down the pub. See you later, mate.
I'd be more than happy if we go to the pub together then.
Well, I'll be in Sofia in a short while, so I'll come and give you a knock on the door.
Yep. So, I don't mind,
this
actually.
Is £5. Hang on.
Yep.
$5.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so cheap?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, shit. Shoot.
This is far too cheap. You're competing against other people who are doing the same stuff as this, and they're charging $50 a pop.
Well, one of the things that makes my assets so cheap is not that I don't think they're quality. In fact, I do think of them as quality. Just ignore the IKP bugs so far.
That's alpha.
That's alpha, yes. I make them so cheap so people like me, like myself, can afford to use them. So for instance, I know like coming from Bulgaria, like we don't have American type salaries here. So one of the struggles of new developers is to find solid tools to work with. And they don't come cheap. And I thought to myself, okay, so I did this. I did it for myself. And I'm putting it out there for people to use it. I'm not gonna charge $50 for something that I made in 2 weeks, just because I can. I want other developers like me to be able to use somewhat quality assets in their projects, to be able to develop stuff. I really love the idea of making stuff that do stuff. Like that's one of the reasons I became a tool developer.
You were doing Final AK, IKPlus, because you couldn't afford Final AK.
Yes.
And you're making your assets so cheap that people don't need to go out there and spend all that time making their own versions of Final AK or Easy Roads. Now, there's 2 things I want to say to that. One is, that's incredibly generous of you, pricing your assets so low. The second thing, because you're being so generous, pricing your assets so low, you're stopping us experiencing the new guys who can't afford to buy your asset and therefore having to make their own. It's a very cunning way you have just killed off all competition, because you've just stopped the next generation of guys who couldn't afford assets and had to make them themselves. Very clever.
Putting it that way, like, wow, okay, dude, that's dark. Putting it that way, I feel like not a family-friendly guy. But honestly, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So kind of, yeah, I had good intentions, but that's how it turned out. I killed competition because I had good intentions. I didn't have the intention of creating massive bugs from what I do. Now I feel bad about it.
See, now you need to price up your assets. But the problem of having something so cheap is because you reduce the entry level so much that say you've got 100 people now who've gone and purchased your asset. That's 100 people you're having to support at $5 a pop. Unity taking their half of their cut. And that's a lot of people who would be likely novice, like no experienced coders who've just bought something because they think it's going to do all of the work for them. And if you'd priced it at the equivalent of 100 times the price that or 10 times the price of what you're charging, the number of people who have bought your asset have dropped from 100 to possibly 2, but you're still making the same amount of money, and the amount of support you're needing to invest in that has dropped considerably. So you're no longer supporting 100 people, you're supporting 2 people, and those 2 people could afford your expensive asset, so likely their knowledge or their experience might be greater, but their expectations of the support, you'd say like the expectations of their support would be higher. But when a guy who pays $5 for an asset, actually he still wants the same support of somebody that paid $100 for that asset, unfortunately.
Yes.
So joking aside, for people sitting in chat, when somebody is an asset developer and is charging $5 for an asset, and I haven't used your Easy Road Mesh, so I can't give a score or I can't judge it on the quality of it, but I'm going to guess that 4 stars out of 5 is because you've had some people give it low scores because they don't know what they're doing, and rather than contact you, they've just given you 1-star reviews.
You're incredibly right here, because I've had so many people come back to me and said, Kris, your asset doesn't work. And I'm like, how is it not working? I have like 50 pages of documentations out there, like for people to read on how to use that. I have like created videos on it. I have like made documentation on it. It even has a built-in tutorial inside the tool. How are you not getting how to use it? And he's like, where's the documentation? And I sit there like thinking to myself, what kind of people are buying those assets? Because like the documentation is right there inside the folder of the asset, always. Like that is one of the Unity Asset Store requirements for you to have like a descriptive documentation with the asset. Otherwise, your asset cannot go up and live. And I'm sitting there like, people didn't even read the documentation. They didn't even see the tutorial in the beginning of the tool. Like inside the editor, like you have a little tutorial pop-up that allows you to click tutorial, and it explains step by step what part of the UI does what. And some people didn't even read that. And you're incredibly right on that point, actually.
We've got
I saw somebody, yeah, sorry. I just saw somebody in the chat go, gonna get the road asset before the prices go up.
Exactly.
Shout out.
So if somebody wants to give me a IKPlus, exclamation mark IKPlus, in the chat, you get a link and you can click on his name on the asset store. You can see all of his assets in there. Men don't read instructions. That's true, we don't read instructions. And I'm just got questions in here. Does it support adding a game object on the spline and having it follow the spline automatically? For example, a train.
You mean like, does it support looking at targets in runtime? Like dynamically?
I think we're talking about the road one. So if you like putting a train on your road.
Yeah. See, I had this tower defense game. I couldn't really dig it up, but I probably could explain it in great detail to you. So you had those units that had to move from one point of the board to the other point of the board, following some sort of path, you know? So the best option, like the smartest option, was to have like a very detailed tile-based system that generated all the navigation points of the units to move. But the smart thing to do, actually, in that case, like not the right thing, the smart thing to do was to implement the Easy Roads platform. Like I just plopped in easy roads, had the implemented just a tiny little method that returned to me the array of navigation points, like the generated array of navigation points, and had those units read from that. Like there was just an array of vector 3 positions, and had those units follow that, and it turned out even better than I expected. So one of the things that I plan on, like, even though easy roads is quite an old asset yet, like nowadays, not yet. It's quite an old asset. I still have plans and features to add to the tool. Like one of the things that I want to add is exactly that function for you to be able to collect all of the generated spline data from the tool. And the other thing that I want to add is crossroads, because as of now, even though it's like really cheap, I think it should have crossroads.
I mean, you've got in this picture here that I'm seeing there, you've got, which looks like crossroads. You've got here, it's gone around into a circle, thus creating one.
Yeah, but that's actually a prefab, a modeled prefab that I have just snapping points attached to it, you know? So you snap your tool to that prefab, and you can drag it around, generate like runtime, roads, whatever, following that position. But it's not dynamic. It's not by the tool. You have to go into a modeling software and do that by yourself. So it's not really ideal. That's why I keep it such a low price for now. But whenever I get the updates of the crossroads up and running, like, I think I'm gonna up the price a bit, you know.
Well, mate, I've just seen the time. I've bloody gone running out of time because we got distracted and all the other cool stuff.
Oh wow. Okay. So any final questions?
Yeah, let me just scroll up through the chat. I've got a question for you. Do you have any keys for your easy road left that we could give away in chat? Because I know you've given us keys for your amazing IKPlus.
I would be more than happy to give you keys. Just give me a second. I'm even in my panel right now. Hold up.
Let me see what questions we got in chat. Well, he sees if because the Unity Asset Store locks you down to 12 keys, and they basically only renew after they get used. It's not like at the start of the year you get 12 again. It's really that's how they work. We got Tor saying Asset Store assets and generally are almost universally underpriced. There's a bunch of published statistics and research Unity did, and most publishers underprice their tools. Yeah, and then you see a lot of people that price high and they never bother supporting them. So you tend to find amazing assets that are priced cheap and got a lot of support and not that many sales. And then you've got really expensive stuff that get a lot of sales because people think they must be really good because they're expensive, and you get no support and they don't even work.
Yes.
Hence, I do the reviews because they started off as a way of me ranting and shouting about asset developers. Tilia says, sadly, we lose some really good AAA modelers like Peter because developers will not pay the price for the quality. I think we need both beginners and quality assets. It's really good asset and it's under $20, then it's low in price.
Where should I send you? I have 2 keys here.
Send me on the Discord, on the private message.
Yes.
All right, so let's give away.
So one of the things that I want to really say, to the people that are going to get this IKP voucher, like, people, honestly, true talk, bro to bro, if you see a bug, hit me up. I'm going to do my best to solve it. All right. That is something I really cannot stress enough. Even on old assets, still, like, I have people coming back with issues that I help, like, get fixed. So no matter that you're getting the tool, like, with a voucher, I would strongly be like providing support to anybody who has problems with the tool. So yeah, that's the thing that I wanted to say, really.
So I need you to come back on the stream because in all seriousness, we do need to show people how to use IKPlus for VR. So we need all those little fingers. We need a demo scene that's been made for VR. As you're doing your internship, you're obviously going to be able to use that experience, put it to good use. And we want to see IKPlus on a VR demo with little fingers and arms wiggling about.
That would be awesome, dude. But I do recommend that like we just schedule that a little bit further in time, so I have time to make the fingers module work.
Oh yeah, I want it tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but I'll give you 2 days.
Yes.
Ready, go.
I'm starting right off.
We've had 4 copies of IKPlus and 2 copies of Easy Roads to give. We'll be giving away thanks to the beautiful Kris Development that's over in Bulgaria. Mate, we'll hook up after the stream and get you to come back on once you're ready to show us IKPlus in more detail. We'll try to do some tutorial videos as well. That'll be fun.
Of course. I was planning on releasing some more tutorial videos so people can get up to speed, and that would happen, of course, once the tool is out of beta.
Alpha. Catch you later, buddy.
But yeah, it was a pleasure, really. So good luck with the stream, and thank you everybody.
Bye, mate.
Well, that was it for another live dev interview. I hope you had fun and enjoyed yourselves. You too can take part if you pop over every Fridays and Saturdays at allthews.twitch.tv/themessycoder, 9 PM GMT time. If you want to know what it is in your time zone, use Google. So don't forget to tell all your friends and neighbours. If you do like it, click it. Till next time. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now. And down below, there's that big juicy subscribe button. And right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.